Hey there, all you cool plants and seedlings. This is Professor Ellen Beeman coming to you from the Riverside Austin Community College greenhouse. We are today looking at propagation, asexual propagation, and that is when plants create their own, I don't want to say reproductive structures because that really refers more to flowers and using the male and female parts of the flower to make a seed. What we're looking at here is the plant is cloning itself. It's actually duplicating. So what we're going to look at today is aloe vera. This is one of our favorite medicinal house plants. It's good for digestion. It is good for skin things. It's high in nutrients and also very high in water. And succulents take a long time typically to flower and create seeds. So most of them have adapted in ways that they're able to propagate asexually. So what we see here, and this is full of ants, so I'm going to be getting bitten by ants the whole time I'm doing this. What we see here is this main aloe vera right here. It has grown little offshoots off of it. We can call those plantlets, we can call them pups. And what we are going to do today is separate these. Now we can see that the root system is mature enough that it's actually starting to bust out of its pot. So not only are we going to make room for the roots, we're going to make room for all of these plants to grow individually and then have plenty of space and resources to make new pups of their own. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just breaking up the soil with my fingers. I'm not pulling at it. I'm just sort of, for those of you who have long flowing hair, you know the feeling when you just get your fingers up between your hair. That's what I'm doing here. So now we see that these parts are starting to come apart a little bit more. Now I want to be careful, and I'm going to try to remove this one on the edge and just very gently shake it away from the rest of the roots balls. So now we come to this next little bit. It feels like these three small ones are more attached to one another. And you know, if you're having, ooh, here's another fun one. If you're having to work really hard to get the roots apart, it might mean that those plants aren't ready to detach from one another, and that's fine. You can plant them all together in one separate one, and then over a few months probably they will become ready to separate from each other. We've got a strong connection here. You can see it. This root right here is a big thick one, and it is connecting these two, this one and this one together. So we're just going to really gently remove it from the larger one. The larger one has plenty of root. We want to give as much root to this new one as possible. And then these three really easily fall away. So now we are going to set this one aside because I didn't prepare a large enough pot for that one. But I have prepared for all of these others smaller pots of just a really simple light planting substrate. What I use is basically equal parts vermiculite, perlite, and regular potting soil, peat moss. So what we're going to do first is make sure that the roots on this are healthy. None of them are looking deformed or scraggly. Some of them are a little bit dried out, but everything got really dry in these. What we're going to do now is we're just going to take our potting medium. We're going to create a divot in there about as deep as 2 or 3 knuckles. And then we're just going to pop this little guy in here, gently start to settle the soil in around its roots. And give it a couple of very gentle shakes so that the potting medium really starts to sift down into the spaces between the roots. Now we don't want to plant it too deep, so I wouldn't want to fill the soil up to this point. At that point, there's going to be too much water held in there, and then the bottom lobes would rot off. is a nicely planted aloe vera. We didn't plant it too deep. There's a little bit of room just on the stalk underneath the bottom lobes. If we were to cut or cover those bottom lobes up with soil, they would end up just rotting and coming off. So we don't want to bury these guys too deep. Just going to go through. Air system's coming on. Just going to go through and plant the rest of these little guys in their own pots. And again, we want to make sure that we're shaking soil down in between the roots. There we go. And planting it just below where the lobes are starting to develop. And that, my friends, is how we asexually propagate aloe vera. We will also be looking at how to asexually propagate different types of succulents, and that's going to keep your house nice and full of easy to grow, healthy little plants that multiply on their own. Thanks a bunch. See you soon.